DA's office says Lanez, whose legal name is Daystar Peterson, shot Megan's feet during an argument in the Hollywood Hills July 12th. The 28-year-old was arrested the night of the shooting, but was released after posting bail. He now faces 2 felony charges and is set to be arraigned Tuesday in LA. If convicted, he faces up to 23 years in prison.
In the summer of 2020, Hollywood Hills witnessed a scary shooting, and we're not talking about a movie. 2 rising rap stars, Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez, were caught up in an incident that almost cost them the ultimate price. These 2 were involved in a shooting that left Megan injured and Tory facing serious criminal charges. The incident and its aftermath captivated fans and the media, with many asking how such tragedy could occur between 2 artists at the top of their game. We'll venture deeper into the reasons behind this shooting incident, its legal proceedings, and lastly, the impact it had on both Megan and Tory's careers.
But that's like normal friend stuff. Like, we fuss about silly stuff all the time.
The shooting incident involved Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez occurred at a very peculiar time. Both these artists were in the process of turning their names in the music world into something big. Megan the Stallion was at the height of her career when the incident occurred, and her single Savage became a viral sensation on social media and topped the charts. Similarly, Tory Lanez was gaining momentum in the industry with his music and collaborations with other popular artists. Many Megan the Stallion fans have shown their support for her and criticized Tory Lanez, while some Tory Lanez fans have defended him and questioned the veracity of Megan's claims. The case had divided fans and brought attention to the ways in which celebrity culture intersects with issues of violence and accountability. On July 12, 2020, Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez were leaving Kylie Jenner's party when a verbal altercation broke out between them in the car. According to Megan, she decided to leave the car and walk away. Her best friend, Kelsey Nicole, who was in the car with them, tried telling her to stay, but she still insisted on leaving. As she left the car, Tory Lanez allegedly told Megan to dance, and when she refused, he fired shots at her, hitting Meg in the foot. Initial police reports suggested that Megan had suffered cuts from broken glass, but only 3 days later, on July 15th, she revealed on Instagram that she had been shot and had to undergo surgery. Megan was also accusing Tory Lanez of being the shooter, which he denied at the time. And then on the 20th of August, this video came out on Meg's Instagram.
Yes, this Tory shot me. You shot me. And you got your publicists and your people going to these blogs lying and stop lying.
The incident sparked immediate outrage and concern from fans and fellow artists, with many expressing support for Megan and calling for justice. Megan also spoke about the incident on social media, urging people to take violence against women seriously and emphasizing the need for accountability. Tory Lanez faced immediate backlash and was dropped from several music festivals and collaborations, including his role as a brand ambassador for a popular gaming company. He also faced criticism from fellow artists, including Kalani and Chance the Rapper, who expressed their support for Megan and their disappointment in Tory's alleged actions. Moreover, Megan's label Roc Nation showed her support as she was recovering from the trauma, and they made sure that she's 100% covered when it comes to her legal issues. As more details emerged, including the possibility of a motive for the shooting, the incident continued to dominate headlines and spark important discussions about gun violence, domestic abuse, and the treatment of women in the music industry. Before the law got involved in the case, we've seen Meg and Tory go back and forth on wax, accusing each other of all kinds of things. In September of 2020, Tory dropped his Daystar album, and he talked about the incident on a number of tracks. Most importantly, he rapped about Megan talking nonsense about what took place between them on the track Money Over Fallouts. In the lyrics of the song, he accuses Megan of lying about the incident. He goes on to say, "How the f you get shot in your foot? Don't hit no bones or tendons." 2 months later, at the very end of November, Megan replied to the accusations in a song of her own. She dropped the Good News album, and on the track Shots Fired, she gave Tory a piece of his own medicine. And from the title, you could see some wordplay going on here. But in the very first 4 lines of the first verse, her lyrics say, "Imagine lying about shooting a real just to save face for rapper you chill with. Imagine me giving a if it was your birthday. You and your feelings, I just thought it was another Thursday." Tory Lanez was arrested and charged with carrying a concealed weapon in a vehicle on the night of the incident. But it wasn't until several months later, in October of 2020, that he was officially charged with assault with a semi-automatic firearm in connection to the shooting of Megan the Stallion. As you would expect, Tory pleaded not guilty to the charges. Regardless, in January 2021, the judge in the case ordered Tory Lanez to stay at least 100 yards away from Megan the Stallion. Even though the incident happened in 2020, the legal procedures between Megan and Tory, or to be more precise, their team's lawyers, would go on for quite some time. You see, it wasn't until 2022 that this case would reach trial. However, once it did, things started moving quickly.
You remember yesterday the defense, they were really pitting her against her friend, talking about the fact that they shared intimate partners, multiple intimate partners.
In October 2022, Megan Thee Stallion testified as the prosecution's key witness. She served as the main piece of evidence. During this testimony, Megan described in detail the events of the night of the shooting and identified Tory Lanez as the shooter. The prosecution presented several other pieces of evidence that they claimed proved Tory was responsible for the crime, such as medical records and testimony from doctors who treated Megan's injuries, which they argued were consistent with being shot. Crucially, the prosecution also brought up the audio recordings of phone calls between Tory and Kelsey, Megan's friend who was present at the day of the incident. This phone call took place shortly after the incident took place. If you listen to the phone call recording, you can hear Tory apologizing to Megan and her friend, offering cash to both of them if they kept quiet about what happened.
Bruh, I just want you to know, bruh, I was just so fucking drunk, I didn't even know what was going on, bro. That ass. I didn't even know what was going on, bro, like that ass. I'd never do some shit like that, bro.
On the other hand, Tory's defense team argued that Megan's testimony was not reliable and pointed to inconsistencies in her account on the events. They also argued that Megan's injuries were not consistent with being shot and suggested that she may have been injured by broken glass. However, the jury ultimately found Tory Lanez guilty on all charges. The evidence presented in court was heavily scrutinized by both sides, and the jury had to weigh the credibility of both Megan's testimony and the other evidence presented in the case before reaching their verdict.
The verdict is in. Tory Lanez found guilty on all 3 counts.
Ultimately, the jury found Tory Lanez guilty on all charges, indicating that they believed the evidence presented by the prosecution was sufficient to prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. His sentencing date was set for 10th of April, but he's facing a maximum sentence of 22 years and 8 months in state pen for assault with a semi-automatic firearm and for carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle. The verdict was widely celebrated by Megan Thee Stallion's fans and supporters, who saw it as a victory for survivors of domestic violence and has signaled that the justice system is taking violence against women seriously. The case has also sparked important conversations about the treatment of women in the music industry and the need for accountability and justice. But when it comes to Megan, this was undoubtedly a traumatic experience for her. After the incident, Megan took a break from social media, canceled some of her upcoming performances too. Megan's response to this whole situation was also notable for its transparency and honesty. She was open about the physical and emotional toll that it took on her, and she spoke candidly about the difficulties of dealing with trauma in the public eye. Her willingness to share her story helped destigmatize discussions about mental health and trauma and encouraged others to seek help when dealing with similar issues. Despite the setback in her music career, Megan Thee Stallion continued to release music and perform. In fact, some fans argue that the incident actually helped to raise Megan's profile and bring attention to her music. She's won several awards, including 3 Grammys, and in the wake of the incident has become a vocal advocate for women's empowerment and gun control. As for Tory Lanez, after being found guilty, Lanez issued an apology to Megan Thee Stallion and her fans. However, many fans and industry pros felt that the apology was insincere and too little, too late. His response to the incident has been widely criticized for his lack of empathy and accountability. Tory's actions had led to a significant decline in his popularity and have damaged his reputation and basically put an end to his rap career. The case of Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion has had a significant impact on both the music industry and on all the fans of their music. This incident will be remembered as a turning point in the conversation around violence against women in the music industry. We saw the need for greater accountability and transparency in the music industry, especially when we're talking about violence and abuse. Lastly, the case has demonstrated the power of social media in shaping public opinion and driving conversations around important issues. Megan's use of social media to speak out about the incident has helped to raise awareness about the issue of violence against women in the music industry and has sparked a larger conversation about the role of social media in activism and advocacy.